Saints, soldiers, and citizens of heaven. Now this video is probably not going to be going in the direction that you think that I'm trying to head with it. I'm going to be looking up several different scriptures, and so you won't have to wait on me to find the scriptures. I'll press the pause button before I get to them. I've talked about this before. For some people, it is legal that they drink because, well, they don't overindulge, and you can't even tell that they're drinking. A lot of people don't believe that, so let's just see what the Bible says. We'll go to Matthew 11 and 18. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he hath the devil. The Son of Man, that's Jesus, came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine-bibber. In other words, they're calling him a wino because, well, he drank. A friend of publicans and sinners, but wisdom is justified of her children. Now we'll go to 1 Timothy 5:23, and this is Paul talking to Timothy. He said, drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities, which is what I was saying. You can make eating too much can be a sin. Drinking is not legal for me because the only off button that I have is when the bottle runs out. So for some people it's okay to drink, for some it's not. Now we know that Jesus was without sin, so he wasn't a gluttonous wine drinker. Now I've heard people say that the wine they had back then wasn't the same strength of the wine that we have now. Okay, let's go to Proverbs 31:6 and 7. Give strong drink, which would represent basically liquor, unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. Now, I say that strong drink kind of represents liquor because you give that to somebody who's dying, and it helps them to remember their misery no more. Wine makes them merry of heart. So, yeah, it was kind of alcoholic wine. Now, we know that God is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So you might say, well, that doesn't satisfy me that it's that kind of drink. Okay, let's go to Deuteronomy 14, and we'll start in verse 24. And it's talking about, what it's talking about here is your sacrifices, the first of your flocks and all like that. Or it would actually not be a sacrifice, it would be a gift to the Lord, the same as your tithes. Okay, and it says, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, and thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusts after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. Now it said wine again. that's the kind of wine that, yeah, it makes you rejoice. Okay, then we go back into Colossians 2:16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holiday or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days. There again, let no man judge you in what you eat or drink. If you're not able to take one drink and then put it down, well, it's probably not for you. I know, like I said, it's not for me because I don't have no off switch. Now we'll go to 1 Corinthians 11:22. Now this is where they were partaking of the Last Supper. It says, "What? Have you not houses in despise the church of God and shame that have not? What shall I say? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not." All right, they were taking of supper, or called communion, and they were actually using wine to partake of it. And right there it says, some of you get up here and you get drunk. Now there are churches now that actually serve alcohol, and Paul's just telling them right there, don't you have houses to drink in? Because some of you are out here just to get drunk. And he's saying, what are you doing by out here getting drunk in church? You're despising the church of God. And then there are other churches, and they have that LG2RB2S, all them numbers and letters, as leaders of the church. So we go to 1 Corinthians 3, and we'll start in verse 16. Know you not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. So these people that are getting out there, going to church to use it basically as a bar, well, they're not doing what's good in the sight of the Lord. And like I say, some people can drink and some can't. I'm not one that can. However, like I was talking about the LGQ2B, all them letters and numbers and stuff, we go to Leviticus 20, and we'll start in verse 13. It says, if a man also lie with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. So those that are going to those kind of churches, the LTQ2RB, 2R, all that junk, well, it says right there that you shall be put to death. You both committed an abomination before the Lord. And besides that, guys, I just don't know. I think I would rather trust a drunk to lead me to Christ than to choose somebody like that thinks that God has made a mistake by making them a man or a woman, that God himself doesn't know what he wanted them to be. Sin is sin. Now, we've seen a couple of places in here where it's okay to drink. Not necessarily in church, because Paul told them, he said, what, don't y'all have houses to drink in? You're disrespecting the church. And by putting the LTQ dude, all them numbers and letters and stuff behind the pulpit, that's the sanctuary of God. And that is extreme disrespect and an abomination. Y'all have a blessed day. Love you guys.